Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us here on WION. Over the next 60 minutes, we're going to talk about political dynasties, not just here in India and South Asia, but also around the world, getting perspective from guests as well as our international correspondents. But first, we're going to go to our correspondent, Nischita Varandra, who's been in Chennai talking to people and getting a flavor of what the mood is like there. She's been on the ground covering this all day. Thanks so much for joining us. What's the mood there like with the news that Sashikala is now going to be the next chief minister? All right, so hopefully we're going to get her back into the conversation. But just for our viewers joining, let's bring you some perspective on what exactly has happened so far. There was a meeting today that happened in Chennai where a lot of the leaders got together and met. And then earlier on this afternoon, WION, in fact, broke that story where we were able to confirm that Sashikala Natarajan will be elected as the chief minister for the state of Tamil Nadu, becoming the third female chief minister. She is a close friend of J. Jayalalitha, the former chief minister who died after spending 2 months in hospital back in December. And then in the discussion of all that from the woodwork, her niece Deepa Jaykumar sort of coming into the conversation. She also spoke to WION, sort of talking about what she will be doing. She addressed her crowd of supporters. So a very interesting juxtaposition happening in Tamil Nadu. One, a friend, a close confidant of Jayalalitha, even though they've had some back and forth. And then a family relative, the niece of Jayalalitha, also coming in and expected to make an announcement in the coming weeks on the 24th of February, possibly announcing the launch of a new political party. So a very interesting dynamic happening there. Which one will sort of continue what Jayalalitha left behind? Will they be able to accomplish what the former film star was able to do? That's also another interesting discussion. So let's now go back to Nischita to see if we have her back in. Nischita, hope you're able to hear us and give us a perspective and a sense of what it's like on the ground to cover this interesting story.
Well, the opinions as far as Shashikala's elevation to the position of legislature party chief and the impending development of her all set to take the post of the chief minister has two very divided opinions coming to the fore. On one hand, the first part of the day, the WION team spent at the AIADMK headquarters, where it almost seems like the cadres are infused with a new energy, with a new energy to really work for the party and to take the government forward as well. An energy that had been lost, the purpose that had been lost soon after the demise of J. Jayalalitha. So the AIADMK seems excited about Shashikala's elevation, and that comes through with the unanimous decision, despite the voices of dissidents that have been heard ever since Shashikala took over as the General Secretary of the party. But on the other hand, on ground, we are really looking at people giving a negative reaction to the same. They feel that Shashikala has been opportunistic. Shashikala cannot claim to have been mentored by J. Jayalalitha when Jayalalitha herself had not given her any opportunity to really come to the forefront, to assume any office, to assist her in any of the official work, or even been given a position within the AIADMK.
Yes. Thanks very much, Nishita. Joining us now are two very special, we have a special guest from Sri Lanka, and we have our London Chief of Bureau, Mandy Clark, joining us from London, and we have Mr. Rajiva Vijay Sinha, Professor Rajiva Vijay Sinha from Sri Lanka, currently in Delhi on the phone line to us. Welcome, Mandy, and welcome, Rajiva. We're really talking here about dynasties in politics, dynasties around the world. Let me start by going to Rajiva. Rajiva, you're from Sri Lanka, where political dynasty is not an unknown thing. We had the Bandarnayakes, we had Sirimavo Bandarnayake, who was the first Prime Minister, and then her daughter Chandrika Kumaratunga Bandarnayake. And we also have had President Mahinda Rajapaksa and several members of his family in prominent positions in politics and in other places, high places. Could you comment on political dynasty in Sri Lanka? Is this, as innate in Sri Lanka as it seems to be in India and in many parts of the world?
Yes, indeed. In fact, Sri Lanka started it because if you remember, our first Prime Minister, D.S. Senanayake, was succeeded by his son. And I think that was a great mistake because it threw everything into confusion. And although Daddy Senanayake, that's the son, turned out to be a very decent, good Prime Minister, I think it was a mistake that he should have been promoted so soon. However, it should be added that he did have a political history. He had been a minister before and had been involved in politics. And I think what you now find is this extraordinary phenomenon, which I think has just been displayed in Tamil Nadu, but it happened even when Jayalalitha appeared on the scene, when people are, as it was, catapulted into extremely high office simply on the basis of a connection. I think the word dynasty is wrong. Shashikala is obviously not part of a dynasty. She is a confidant. You did have, I think, in many countries, people trying to handpick their own successors. You may remember Theodore Roosevelt and William Taft.
Right.
They he stood against it. So I think it's not a matter of dynasty, it's a matter of suitability. And I think what is absurd is when people are pushed into position with no previous experience.
Right.
I
Right.
think, when you spoke about the Rajapaksas, I
Yes.
think, Gotabaya Rajapaksa had a lot of experience and did a fantastic job as Secretary of Defense.
Yes.
But I think there was an impression that Mahinda Rajapaksa was also promoting people who didn't have that sort of background and capacity. It remains to be seen whether Shashikala had any capacity. He had the capacity to charm Lalita.
Right.
But enough to take things forward.
Right. Do stay with us, Rajiva. Please hold those thoughts. I'm now going to London to my colleague Mandy Clark, who can tell us a little bit about. Mandy, could you tell us about political dynasties worldwide? You know, we have Kim Jong-il in North Korea, and we're also currently seeing the emergence of Marine Le Pen, the daughter of the founder of France's extreme right-wing group, Jean-Marie Le Pen, her father. So, to what extent? And of course, in Canada, we have the current Prime Minister, who is the son of Justin Trudeau, who is the son of Pierre Trudeau, who was a very prominent politician in Canada. So what do you make of dynasties in politics, and how are they received in the Western world?
Well, I think you get two sorts of dynasties. Certainly in the Western world, there tends to be almost nostalgia. So Pierre Elliott Trudeau is a good example. He was very popular when he was Prime Minister in Canada. So there is almost like a nostalgia or a hope that his son will embody some of the policies that he will take over. And so not all the population will like it, but it's continuing political aspirations of that former leader, George W. Bush. And of course, his father was a prime minister, a president as well. Jean-Marie Le Pen was far right. His daughter is perhaps even more right, and just continuing on those belief systems. Of course, when you talk about Kim Jong-il, it's almost like he's protecting power. This is not a democracy in North Korea, and it's almost handing over power from a father to a son. In Libya, before the revolution, Gaddafi was shaping his son Saif to take over, and of course, in Iraq, if it was different, you saw Saddam Hussein preparing Uday Hussein, and so there's two forms of dynasties. When it's a democracy, they are essentially hearkening back to the nostalgia and continuing those values, and when it's kind of more of a closed dictatorship, it's just making sure that the power continues in the family, and I think that's kind of the Western viewpoint.
All right, Mandy, we're going to come to you in just a second, but giving you a quick perspective on overall some of the different dynasties around the world, the political dynasties. As we mentioned, Marine Le Pen, the leader of the French far-right political party on the National Front. She is the daughter of the organization's founder. Of course, in South Korea as well, the president, Park Geun-hye, is the daughter of Park Chung-hee, the former South Korean president and military general. North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, the son of the late Kim Jong-il, as well as the former supreme leader of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Also present, Syria's President Bashar Assad is the son of former President Hafiz Assad. Then we have in the United States, Jeb Bush, the son of the 41st U.S. President, George H.W. Bush, and the brother of the 43rd U.S. President, George W. Bush. So, Mandy, as we were just talking about it, it's not just here in Tamil Nadu or India or South Asia, but something really globally. The one question I wanted to sort of get your perspective on is we've seen even in the United States and around the world with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Donald Trump now, many of these celebrities, how we have it in India where you see these film stars that get a huge fan following, sort of taking that and going into the political spectrum to sort of have that loyalty. Now, is that something that could hurt them or help them? And how is that in the Western world versus here in South Asia?
I don't know if there's much of a difference. Certainly, Donald Trump, of course, was a reality TV star, and so was Ronald Reagan back in the day. So, the popularity, being popular with the public and the popular culture, they resonate. People know them. They're not a new face. They're not a career politician. And, arguably in Donald Trump's case, that was his main platform, that he isn't this career politician. He's not just focusing on other he hasn't been groomed. He's for the people. And I think that popular culture, it does have an influence, and it's a way to reach the public, and it's a known entity. So certainly it crosses the divide, and you can see it in the West. Equally, you can see it in Tamil Nadu.
Mandy, I have a question for you too. What is happening in Tamil Nadu, in the state of, which is, I mean, it's an Indian state. It's a very big story in India, of course. But I'm just curious, to learn from you whether there is any resonance in the international media. Do foreign correspondents file stories that are actually very localized stories? Have you heard much about what's going on in Tamil Nadu? Have you seen much in London?
In the international foreign press, not so much with this story cropping up, but there's clearly some links where Donald Trump, when he made when it passed the anti-nepotism law, there has been some conversations within the community, the Indian community in London itself, talking about nepotism. However, the international, the wider public, that hasn't been a conversation yet. But it's a fairly breaking story. These stories tend to take a couple of days before they appear in international media.
Right. Mandy, thank you very much for joining us from London and giving us your perspective. We're staying on with us is Rajiva Vijay Sinha from Sri Lanka, and I do have a question for Rajiva. Rajiva, the Sri Lanka, Tamil Nadu has almost followed its own bilateral policy vis-a-vis Sri Lanka, being such close neighbors, and also because of the presence of a large Tamil population in Sri Lanka. Do you perceive any changes? Do you think that there might be, any major changes in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai, as far as the Sri Lanka so-called Tamil question is concerned?
I'm afraid I can't really answer that because I know nothing about Shashikala and her views. I mean, Jayalalitha herself, although she tended to be very excitable on occasion, when she was chief minister, didn't prove so bad. And in any case, I think ultimately, relations are governed by the center, as they correctly should be. And I think India itself was very upset, the center, about the idea of trying to decentralize foreign policy. And I think the Modi government is very, very clear that decisions have to be made in Delhi. Obviously, Tamil Nadu will try to influence matters, but it won't have the great influence that it had in the days when there was a shaky majority at the center. I hope that answers the question.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate your perspective. Now we're going to get you some perspective on what exactly is happening with the Indian angle of the story. Sashikala Natarajan becoming the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu is certainly not an isolated incident of a relative or a kin or a friend taking place of a much celebrated or mass leader. In this case, of course, we're talking about the late Jayalalitha. Indian politics is replete with stories of dynasties that have carried on legacies of some of the mass leaders. Here's a look at some of them that worked and some of them that didn't work. India always had an enduring romance with politicians. And when a celebrated or popular leader dies or relinquishes office, the public loses little time in accepting the next of kin as their leader. It happened when Rajiv Gandhi was appointed Prime Minister soon after his mother and then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated. The Indian public gave him a resounding yes in the general elections. When Rajiv Gandhi was killed, his wife and widow Sonia Gandhi was made the party president, something she declined at that point, but eventually took to the post. Again, she was given a thumbs up by the electorate. When Bihar Chief Minister Lalu Yadav had to serve a prison term, he made his wife Rabri Devi Chief Minister. When Shiv Sena Chief Bal Thackeray died, his son Uddhav Thackeray was crowned the next chief. UP's Chief Minister Mulayam Singh passed on the crown to his son Akhilesh, although an ugly power struggle followed. So what makes political dynasties tick? Is it the hope that the next of kin will do as well as the celebrated leader? Or does the public play safe in maintaining continuity? Or is it a lack of a viable alternative? The answer is surely in some of these questions. The Sashikala episode brings to mind the death in 1987 of M.G. Ramachandran, known as MGR, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister. An ugly power struggle took place between his wife, Janaki Ramachandran, and Jayalalitha. Janaki managed to become the Chief Minister and lasted just 22 days before she was dismissed. She managed to win just 2 seats, a rare case in Indian politics where the public rejected the next of kin. In the current saga, Jayalalitha's niece Deepa Jayakumar has claimed her celebrated aunt's legacy and looks set to battle Sashikala. Will the kin win, or will the companion win? That's a question that soon will be answered. Bureau Report, WION.
We have Ramesh Ramachandran, our senior correspondent, joining us from Chennai. Ramesh, you've had a very long day. It's been a very eventful day for you. Can you tell us whether, are you a bit surprised that it all went relatively peacefully, or have there been stray incidents of perhaps minor violence between the two, rival sides?
Not really. Violence would not be an accurate depiction of the developments through the day. But yes, there is deep resentment among some cadres of the ADMK party, especially those who are opposed to the Sashikala faction, especially those who are aligned with Deepa Jayakumar and others who are not particularly enamored of Shashikala's rise, first as the General Secretary of the party and now as a Chief Minister in waiting. So that's the prevailing mood or the sentiment here in Chennai this evening. But that said, the mood among the local populace is vastly different from the mood within the ADMK party cadres. For instance, there is a sizable section of opinion here in Chennai this evening which says that her entry into the mainstream of ADMK politics could have been more democratic, in that they mean that she should not have taken the quote backdoor unquote entry into the ADMK echelons of power. So the opinion is divided. It's moot here in Chennai this evening, but no, not really, no violence at all.
Ramesh, I'm going to continue the conversation with you. You guys have been doing such a phenomenal job out there, but it seems everything is sort of up and no one really knows what is going to happen. With the whole the whole meeting today with what happened, and then the announcement coming in, and then Deepa as well. I know you got a chance to talk to her earlier on. You were also there when Deepa first came out, Jayalalitha's niece. Give us a sense of what all of that was like coming out of the woodwork, and how that conversation went, what the mood was like there when Deepa Jayakumar spoke to you.
Archit, there are many moving parts to the story, as it were. In the afternoon, the focus or the attention was clearly on Poise Garden, where Shashikala Natarajan was supposed to be closeted with her aides before the legislature party meeting. So attention was focused on her in the afternoon. By late afternoon, the focus shifted from Poise Garden to the T Nagar residence of Deepa Jayakumar, where I am stationed at the moment, even as we speak. So clearly a battle lines are drawn between Chinnamma or Shashikala Natarajan on the one hand, and Deepamma or Deepa Jayakumar, the niece of the late Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha, on the other hand. Now that said, the opinion within the sections of the ADMK party for sure is coalescing around the new power center, as it were, of Shashikala Natarajan, who is both the General Secretary of the party and now the Chief Minister in waiting. So she has succeeded in consolidating her power both within the organization and now the government. It remains to be seen whether she's been successfully able to quell the possibility of dissent, or whether she's able to succeed, keeping the dissidents at bay going forward, because there are murmurs of discontent about the way she has gone about maneuvering her rise to power, as it were, in the few months since the demise of the late Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha, which has not entirely gone down well with a section of the party.
Right. Ramesh, there is a question. I'm reading about the remarks that Shashikala made about Mr. Paneerselvam, from whom she literally took over this position. What are you hearing about the relationship between the two? I mean, she has said that she's called him her brother, our dear brother Paneerselvam, and she's spoken of his loyalty to her and to her companion Ms. Jayalalitha. But surely there's some sort of friction there, perhaps, or is Mr. Paneerselvam perhaps disappointed at having to lose his position and hand it over to Ms. Shashikala without there even an election taking place?
Indeed, people who talk about the relationship or the chemistry between Shashikala Natarajan and O. Paneerselvam inevitably draw comparisons with Sonia Gandhi and Manmohan Singh, the neat balance of power, as it were, that one saw in the UPA 1 and UPA 2 governments. But that said, the similarity ends there because O. Paneerselvam is unlike a Manmohan Singh and Shashikala Natarajan, for obvious reasons, is not a Sonia Gandhi. But that said, what has gone in favor of Paneerselvam among a section of the cadres is that he has kept his personal ambitions aside. He has not let his personal ambitions come in the way of the larger good or the larger interest of the party, as it were. So for the moment, he has more or less made peace with the powers that be in the party, namely Shashikala Natarajan. But that said, there are murmurs of discontent. For instance, we saw a sitting Rajya Sabha member of the ADMK who has now been expelled from the party, Shashikala Pushpa, for instance, take the case to the Election Commission over the manner in which Shashikala Natarajan was elected as the General Secretary of the party. So clearly there are murmurs of discontent, but at the moment it seems that the party is coalescing around Shashikala Natarajan for now, and she has managed to succeed, managed to keep the dissidents at bay for the moment.
All right, Ramesh, we'll check in with you in just a short while, but thank you again for providing us all of that groundwork and perspective. Let's now continue our conversation again. The political families are spread all over the globe. While they seem more visible here in Asia with its strong family traditions, they're present in Europe as well as in America. Here's the report.
For all those who believe political dynasties are a South Asian phenomenon, think again. They are all over Asia. In North Korea, Kim Jong-un is the third member of the Kim family to assume the presidency. His father, Kim Jong-il, ruled the country for 17 years, and his father, Kim Il-sung, founded the family dictatorship which rules the country with an iron hand. Asia's other political families include the Bhuttos and Sharifs in Pakistan, the Bandar Naikes in Sri Lanka. In China too, current President Xi Jinping's father was a trusted aide of Mao Zedong. In France, Marine Le Pen is leading the National Front, the very party her father led for so many years. She is a contender for president and, according to some reports, is ahead of the pack with 27% nationwide support.
I, George Herbert Walker Bush, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully...
And in the United States as well, the political lineage of the Bush family goes back 4 generations with 2 presidents and a sprinkling of senators and governors. Bureau Report, WION.
This is extraordinary, and I'm very grateful to all of them.
And Ramesh, let's go back to you now in Chennai. We just heard some of the international the dynasties happening, not just here in India and Asia, but even around the globe. Going back to you, what do you make of this? This type of political dynasties that happen both within our borders and across the borders. Is that a good thing? Does that help? We do know both the friend, in this case Shashikala, as well as the family, Deepa Jaykumar, not having a whole lot of political experience, if any. But Jayalalitha and MGR certainly having a huge fan following from their experience in the cinema world. How important is that going to be, some of the challenges that either one of them may face as Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu?
Archit, the bitter truth is that Indian politics can never be far from dynasty. But that said, the fear among some sections of the ADMK cadres whom I managed to interact this afternoon was that they fear the rise of a new dynasty, as it were, within the ADMK, and that's the Shashikala Natarajan family, which is variously described as the Mannargudi Mafia or Mannargudi dynasty, because she comes from that particular part of Tamil Nadu. So the fear is that the dynasty or the baton has been changed from the Jayalalitha family to the Shashikala Natarajan family, and the fear is that Deepa Jayakumar and people like her might eventually lose out in the long run, which is why we are seeing her make a bid for retaining the legacy, as it were, of J. Jayalalitha.
Right.
But that said, the move... Yeah, please.
All right, Ramesh, unfortunately, we're out of time. We're going to have to come back with you later on, but we'll check in with you to see if there's any other developments. But with that, we're going to take a quick, short break and continue this conversation. 30 more minutes of discussion on how all of this is shaping up. Stay with us right here on WION. Welcome back to World is One News. This is WION, and I'm Archit Seshadri. We're going to continue the conversation this last 30 minutes to get you perspective on what is happening in the state of Tamil Nadu when it comes to politics. This 30 minutes, we're going to be joined by Mr. R.K. Radhakrishnan from Chennai. He is the associate editor of Frontline. Thank you so much for your input. As well as Taha Siddiqui, our chief correspondent from Islamabad. We'll get to both of you in just a moment, but first, with Mr. Radhakrishnan, my question to you is, in terms of the media coverage with all of this is happening, how has it been in Tamil Nadu, both the pros and the cons? Has it been good coverage? What has it been like? Give us a sense of how the local media has covered this in your state.
The day dawned with the local media being all of them.
All right, we're having some technical issues there. We're going to get back to Mr. Radhakrishnan in just a moment. Let's now go over to Taha Siddiqui and see what he has to say. Taha, thanks again for joining us. Over the last 90 minutes, we've been talking to our panel of guests as well as correspondents around the world on political dynasties and how this comes into play. Why don't we go to you and give us that sense of, in Pakistan specifically, how has that been? You know, does that work well? Are there limitations? Give us that sense of what it's like for dynasties to continue with political and family connections.
Well, the two mainstream parties in Pakistan are the People's Party and PMLN, Nawaz-led group. And both of them are quite a lot into this sort of dynastic politics, as you're saying. And they do receive a lot of criticism because of this. As we know, with Benazir Bhutto and now the Bilawal Bhutto, the son, and then their grandfather, who was Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who started politics in the 70s, then 80s, we saw Benazir Bhutto in 90s also. Then in mid-2000, 2007, she was assassinated. And then the children took over, and this time around from the father's side. So even to the extent that Zardari had to change Bilawal's name to not just Bilawal Zardari, but Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, to continue that legacy of the Bhutto name. Similarly, with PMLN, with Nawaz Sharif, we've seen that Nawaz Sharif himself is the Prime Minister, his brother is the Chief Minister, his nephews and his own children are also part of politics. And right now, as we know, from what we hear about the party, now they're grooming Nawaz Sharif's daughter, Maryam Nawaz, to be the successor to Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. So in that sense, we do see that a lot happening in Pakistan, and these are the big political parties in the country.
Right. We have our guest, Mr. R.K. Radhakrishnan, who is the Associate Editor of Frontline, back with us. Mr. Radhakrishnan, you were telling us about what the mood is like on the ground in your state. Could you carry on, please, which is when we got cut off?
Yeah, sorry. So most of the day, half of the day, the entire media was going gaga about this Jallikattu contest that is happening in one suburb of Madurai. But then as news came in that Shashikala was possibly going to the party headquarters on Lloyd's Road to attend a party meeting, I think the focus started shifting slowly but steadily. Even when the meeting had started, there was apparently no inkling among Tamil television channels that she might possibly be elected as the parliamentary party leader in the assembly. So only at around 3 o'clock, when the AADMK's official handle, Twitter handle, AADMK official, announced that Shashikala is being elected as leader unanimously, did everybody break into this particular news, and you forgot the Jallikattu completely. Madurai was forgotten, and then all hell broke loose here.
Right, Mr. Radhakrishnan. Just another question about the shortcomings of the media, and to what extent is the media, all of us, responsible for creating a particular situation or for interpreting a particular situation to our viewers and readers. I mean, I refer specifically to all the talk there has been of the classist. It's almost classist and casteist. The difference between Ms. Shashikala and Ms. Deepa, who is the blood relative of the former chief minister. So is there a large dose of casteism and classism to that debate?
There is some amount of caste in anything that you talk across India. That is the nature of India. It can't be helped. It's there in the media. It's there in politics. Most certainly, yes. And it's there with the people. But beyond that, there are a lot of administrative issues for the media when it comes to Tamil Nadu. This is not confined to the fact that Tamil Nadu government is trigger happy, in the sense that they keep filing defamation cases against all media at all times, even for the slightest of provocations. I can give you a small example, like, during the Jayalalitha tenure, I had written that a corporation commissioner had gone and met her in Hyderabad where she was holidaying to get certain permissions, and that was the reason for one defamation case against me. It can be as simple as that. And the other problem with the television media itself is that there is something called an Arasu Cable Corporation, which is the big MSO in Tamil Nadu. It is the operator which actually makes available your cable feed in rural areas. And ratings, TRPs are decided by, there is an undue weightage for rural areas these days. So all the Tamil channels follow, including all the English channels too, they play ball as much as possible with the government. And to that extent, their independence is hampered when it comes to reporting government news. But yes, there is a caste angle in every newsrooms. You can barely see a Dalit across newsrooms. This can be print, this can be new media, this can be television. It's the same case across the board. Yes. There is also the Vidudalai Chiruthaival Katchi, which is a Dalit party. It runs a channel, but it doesn't have a big impact. Yes, there are a few Muslim parties who also run their own television channels. Again, very marginal impact in daily life or in the state of Tamil Nadu.
All right, Mr. Radhakrishnan, let me pick up the conversation, get you some thoughts and perspective on Jayalalitha's estate, Powis Garden. What exactly is going to happen to that? What will happen to, who will get that, if anybody? Do we have any kind of idea? We see, we see both Shashikala and Deepa now coming into the equation, but what exactly happens to Jayalalitha's future assets now that it's been more than 2 months since she died?
As long as Shashikala and the AADMK can hold on to power in the state of Tamil Nadu, I don't think you'll have any great, change in the people residing in Powis Garden. But it's very, very clear that the Powis Garden residents, if you're taking the blood relatives from an Indian Hindu succession point of view, it has to go to the brother who is alive, Jayalalitha's brother who is alive, and to the niece who has taken claim to that property. Now, it is these two people who will finally have a claim to the property. But right now, Shashikala lives in that place, and though it is in Jayalalitha's name, because Shashikala was brought in 1988, and though she has been thrown out at least thrice, but then the point is she has been a resident of that property from 1988. That gives her some kind of a advantage, even legally speaking, to stay in their property. But I don't think she's at liberty to sell it off. The legal heir is definitely the brother and the niece, who are, the brother is not laying any claim to it, but the niece is.
Mr. Radhakrishnan, also wanted to get your thoughts and perspective about, the chatter on the streets there in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai. There's been a lot of speculation about was this sort of a very convenient plan? Was this all planned? There's been back and forth rumors about whether, why didn't we see any pictures of Jayalalitha when she was in the hospital? Was this all part of a plan that Shashikala did? And now Deepa sort of coming in, her niece, from the woodworks. And how has that been, someone like you who's a journalist covering that, dealing with some of the controversies and conspiracy theories that have emerged since the late Chief Minister's death?
Yeah, there are conspiracy theories as there are people. I mean, you can have, about 7.5 crore conspiracy theories floating in Tamil Nadu, but obviously none of them are true, and there is a version from the Apollo hospitals. So on the treatment per se, there has been a lot of, controversies, and a lot of people, including actresses and politicians, have asked for what exactly happened to Jayalalitha on those 75 days, and the government is unwilling to give, put out that information. But on the streets, you can see that on Twitter, for instance, you can see that ADMK fails is trending. Not my CM is trending. There is a lot of heartburn among ordinary people in Tamil Nadu that Shashikala is taking over. Their reasoning happens to be that she was only in the household of Jayalalitha. She was looking after Jayalalitha. Yes, for all reasons, there is no problem with that. But then, how can such a person take over the party and then the government? I think even when she took over the party, there was a sentiment across Tamil Nadu which basically said that just because you're the household, you cannot be running a party. But of course,
right.
To be that though Shashikala has been taking some decisions for the ADMK even when Jayalalitha was around, it is not running the party at all, and that has not been communicated to the people at any level.
Right. A very last question to Mr. Radhakrishnan. Mr. Radhakrishnan, there is also on the one hand you have Deepa, who is the niece of Miss Jayalalitha. On the other hand, you have Miss Shashikala. And today we heard Miss Deepa suggest that, sort of hint at the fact that her birthday is coming up and we can expect a special announcement around that date. What do you expect? Do you expect the setting up of perhaps a new political party, or do you see a rift, in a split of the AIA-DMK into, let's say, the AIA-DMK-D as in Deepa and S as in Shashikala?
See, right now, I don't think there is any danger of the AIA-DMK splitting, but I believe that the AIA-DMK leadership, the entire political class in Tamil Nadu is completely disconnected from the people of Tamil Nadu. We have seen that with the Jallikattu agitation. It was completely and purely organized on social media. You had more than 1.5 crore people turn up on the streets of Tamil Nadu. Now, that's the kind of disconnect, again, we see in the social media, the kind of messages that is coming across platforms. Now, this is actually a time very ripe for somebody like Deepa, who is completely uninvolved with the whole system of ADMK governance and the government, to jump in and try her luck. By all means, yes. And it also gets complicated by the fact that Paneerselvam, writing a resignation letter to the governor, says, for personal reasons, I am resigning this post. That is absolutely a giveaway, because, everything that happened during the day seems to suggest that Paneerselvam wanted desperately Shashikala to be a chief minister. The second thing he has done, he has written to the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, thanking him for his cooperation during the time that, Paneerselvam was chief minister. Now, this is unprecedented. No chief minister has ever written to a prime minister thanking him for the help during a tenure. So all these are ominous signs. Yes, Deepa is going to get some traction, but she doesn't have the party with her. She doesn't have the kind of strength that requires to win an election. So we'll have to wait and watch. But Deepa is going to be a problem for the ADMK, though not in a big way, definitely a small pinpricks here and there. Yeah.
So Deepa is going to be a problem, or rather Deepa is going to be in some way featuring on the political horizon of Tamil Nadu. Mr. Ramachandran, thank you very much for joining us this evening. We still have on the line Pakistan Bureau Chief Taha Siddiqui. Taha, earlier we were talking about dynastic politics in South Asia. It seems to be a peculiar phenomenon that is, that is somehow more prevalent in South Asian countries than in most parts of the world. And you were mentioning, you spoke of the Bhuttos and you spoke of the Sharifs, Nawaz Sharif and his brother Shahbaz Sharif. Now, I just wanted to ask you, is one of the positive developments to come out of such dynastic politics the emergence of women in politics? It has been in Sri Lanka's case and it has been in India's case. Would you say that that is one of the reasons why Benazir Bhutto was such a prominent figure?
Well, Benazir was known to be the first prime minister of the Muslim world who was a woman. So in that sense, Benazir, for women empowerment, that could send a message. But at the same time, from what I know from the Times of that, people who have reported on Benazir, the senior journalists around here, they talk of the fact that in the 90s, she used to say that she has to wade through politics as a man. So in that sense, we haven't seen. And then again, we know about how legislations have been in Pakistan when it comes to religious legislations and how they discriminate towards women. But in the recent times, we've seen People's Party actually, because of its women leadership and other leaders in the party, which are women, because of that, a lot of women legislations have been brought forward. So whether or not positivity can come out of this dynastic politics is sort of debatable, also because of the fact that we have a military which is very quite active in politics here and continues to intervene. And one of the reasons that they talk about is the fact that these parties talk about democracy, they talk about parliamentary supremacy, but at the same time, it's their families which are ruling. It's the brothers, the sisters, the cousins, the nephews. And we've seen in the recent, for example, in the last decade, with the Sharif, for example, that not just their immediate family, but extended families in the military, in the police. So that criticism comes, and because of the fact that Pakistan's democracy is quite fragile, because of all the interventions we've seen from the military, this becomes a problem, this dynastic politics.
All right, Taha Siddiqui, thank you so much for your perspective from Islamabad. Let's now continue our discussion as we sort of bring all of this to a close and give you some perspective of what happened on the ground. Let's go to Ramesh Ramachandran. He got an exclusive interview with Jayalalitha's niece, Deepa Jaykumar.
Okay, I'm now joined by Ms. Deepa Jaykumar, the niece of the late Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha. Let me go straight across to her to know more about her thoughts on her political future. Ms. Jaykumar, thank you for speaking to WION. Clearly, there seems to be a battle royale taking place in Chennai this evening between you, as Deepa Ma, as your supporters call you, and Chinnamma, Ms. Sashila Natarajan. So, where does this battle go from here?
I wouldn't call it a battle. This is a cry against something that shouldn't be happening actually, because the people had the faith and trust in Madam Jayalalitha and not on anyone else. That is what is happening here. The people have not voted her in. That is my first and foremost, whatever you call it. That's what I'm trying to be, emphasizing on. The people have not voted her in, and the people's trust, it was on Madam Jayalalitha. It wasn't on anyone else. And the third thing is that anyone to become a legislative leader, they should be a democratically elected candidate first and foremost. And in this case, it does not apply. I don't see why I shouldn't be in that role in the first place. If people want to see me in that role, I don't think there's anything wrong in it. But apart from all this, if at all I were to take up any position, it will be based on what the people want, and I would like to be elected as a democratically elected leader first, and then talk about this. Taking a political plunge is not the right thing to say, because in that sense I already have, I think. So the rest of the things that you said, as per my plan, a course of action that I had in mind, I'll follow that rigidly.
Thank you on that note. Thank you so much for speaking to WION. So there you have it, Ms. Jaykumar sharing her thoughts on her political future and making no bones about the fact that between now and the 24th of February, you can expect her to make a political announcement of some sort, possibly launching her own independent political outfit. In Chennai, Ramesh Ramachandran for WION.
Well, let's take a look at how all of this unfolded in Tamil Nadu. Quite a hectic few months there after the former Chief Minister Jayalalitha died back in December. Let's give you the perspective of what happened, how all of this unfolded. We'll first start back in September. That's when Jayalalitha was admitted to the hospital. She then died 2 months later after a lot of back and forth in early December. Then Paneerselvam was elected as the state's Chief Minister a few days after that. Sashila Natarajan was elected as the General Secretary of the party towards the end of last year. And then today, February the 5th, that's when Paneerselvam resigned from his post, which made room for Sasikala to be elected as the new AIADMK chief minister. She'll soon be sworn in by the end of this week. So that's sort of the timeline of how all of this unfolded. Let's now listen into our other correspondent, Nishchita Virandra. She spoke to many people in Chennai, in Marina Beach. That's where Jayalalitha was put to rest. Let's listen in.
Not selected by people. She is selected by only parliament members only. So we are not happy.
Our leader only Jayalalitha. We are not. We are ADMK supporter, but not support with Sasikala.
Sasikala is a common man, but not only leader. Ayala accepted, not accepted in Sasikala.
No, we are not supporting Sasikala. We support Jayalalitha.
We are supporting Amma Jayalalitha. We are hate Sasikala.
And so as you can see, a lot of back and forth between who everybody there in Tamil Nadu was supporting. Is it Sasikala? Is it Deepa? Or could a new party emerge there in the coming days? Deepa has hinted that she will make an announcement in the coming weeks. Nishchita also spoke to Apsara Reddy, who is a leader with the party. Let's listen into that interview.
The argument being put forth that she has absolutely no administrative experience, she's never held office, she has never contested in elections, she's never had an AIADMK post as well. What do you have to say about that?
I think 33 long years of mentoring from Purachitalevi Amma is, I think, outweighs every sort of administrative experience you can gain, because she's lived with Amma, she's observed government, she's been to multiple meetings, she's been part of leadership conclaves, and I think Chinnamma is very well equipped to take the state forward because she has good intention, she has the knowledge, and she has the spirit to take the state forward.
Okay, also several political analysts have gone on record to predict that this will completely decimate AIADMK in 4 years, and during the next elections the AIADMK will not be able to recover from that. Your response to that?
A lot of political analysts said we won't come to power also in 2016, but we did storm back to power.
All right, and that is our extensive coverage of what is happening in Tamil Nadu. Let's now go back to our senior editor, Padma Rao. You've been sort of seeing all of this unfold today as it's happened, Padma. You know, it's quite a spectacular day that's in Tamil Nadu. We just have to wait and watch to see what exactly happens in the coming weeks, right?
Yes, I think Tamil Nadu has seen a series of events over the last weeks, and we have been covering Tamil Nadu a lot. The viewers in Tamil Nadu happen to be very important to us, and we do hope that they continue to stay tuned to WION. And coming back to your question, I think I'm actually quite surprised and pleasantly surprised that we've not had. It's all been relatively calm.
There's not the chaos and confusion that you typically see when something like this happens.
Absolutely, yes. And I think it is to the credit of the people of Tamil Nadu that, yes, there is dissatisfaction on both sides, but where isn't there dissatisfaction?
Absolutely.
We are, after all, in a democracy.
Right, and as we mentioned, Sasikala, a very powerful post. She controls the entire party. The organization rests with her. She's, again, the ultimate authority when it comes to policies and programs. We also noticed that she controls the party's funds, and she also has the final word when it comes to suspending members if they are found violating some of the discipline. And Padma, very interestingly, when I was in Chennai earlier, we saw her, she was at the hospital, she was there at Poe's Garden, so she played a very strong role, the friend, and then now we have Deepa coming out of the woodworks, and she's going to make that announcement. Do we expect, other political parties to form? I was reading even Rajnikant maybe hinting. Quite an uncertain, paradigm there.
Well, as they say, I think in politics anywhere in the world, especially in India and South Asia, and we've seen that all evening during our discussion and debate, blood runs thicker than water.
Right.
So ultimately, the whole question of dynasty, if it's a question of deciding between blood and between friendship, then I think we're going to see very interesting times ahead in Tamil Nadu.
All right. Thank you so much for your perspective. Of course, Padma Rao there and Archita Chaudhary giving you guys all the perspective. We really appreciate your time. All of this will be on our website, of course, wionews.com. Thank you so much for staying tuned for this special bulletin. Have a great night.